Hey guys, it's Dr. Rayner here with Dr. Nutt. We're gonna go through your very first PowerPoint on exercise. What we recommend is you go grab a piece of paper and a pen so you can jot down any notes you have regarding any of the content that we're gonna go through. We're gonna send you a quiz out in a couple days. Not a big deal. We want to make sure the comprehension's there. There's no questions kind of being left unasked. We just really want to make sure you're learning the content and the material.
We're also going to send out a video introducing Kristen, our personal trainer and owner and instructor at Well Help Fitness.
All right, the workout. All right, so we have some questions probably already about what kind of workouts we're going to be doing. And we're going to go through just basic understanding of what our workout's going to accomplish for us. All right, so our bodies, we're all human. We all have, very, very slight differences in our genetic potential. But the understanding is our bodies still respond to stress in a very similar way. Now, understanding stress can be good or bad. Like we kind of talked about in some of our health talks, stress can be adaptive or maladaptive to the body. Our goal is to make sure that our exercise program is adaptive to you, and that's what we really do. We break it down to a science for you. Doesn't take long with the right program. It's just a matter of getting the right amount of hours in the gym, and you're going to start to see the results. You just got to have faith and stick with it. And we got to find your sweet spot in the amount of time you need to be working out. All right, quality versus quantity. Pretty good question, pretty good thing to look at. More is not better when it comes to working out and training our bodies. The principles we apply, they're based on the research, the literature, and it's really based on understanding what stress is and the right amount of that stress the body can handle, where it is adaptive and it can tolerate it. The one thing we're going to stress, though, is we want to make sure all our exercises, we're working towards high intensity. Short duration, not running for an hour. It's going to be high intensity, short bursts. This is what's going to get us going and achieving the results we want. All right, and then last point of the slide, once the maximum stress has been placed on the muscle group, we're going to walk away from it. Again, less is more in this case. We're not going to keep blasting our muscles at the gym, our legs running. We're going to set a certain limit on what we need to do to target that muscle group we're going after. Less is more, though, so once you're done, just leave the group and go to a different muscle.
Here's a good example of what high intensity, short duration, and long-term exercise looks like. So the guy on the left is obviously a sprinter. The guy on the right is obviously a long distance runner. The guy on the right looks almost sickly, skin's hanging off his bones. One interesting thing to look at, may be involved, may not be involved, but the guy on the right is bald. The guy on the left is whole head of hair. Cardiovascular exercise, research is showing more and more that cardiovascular exercise does not mean getting on a treadmill and running for 30, 45 minutes. Cardiovascular exercise can be done within 8 to 15 minutes with high intensity interval training.
All right, so what's the definition of high intensity exercise? This is the definition spelled out for you, but it's reaching 70% of your maximum heart rate is defined as high intensity. Things you'll notice as you're trying to achieve high intensity exercise is your breathing will be deep and rapid. It'll be difficult to carry on a conversation with the person you're working out with, or just, if you're talking to yourself while you're working out. You'll be sweating about 3 to 5 minutes into your workout. All right, here's some other slides on light versus moderate exercise, just to kind of give you a comparison.
So light exercise is exercise that causes you to reach 40 to 55% of your maximum heart rate and will cause no noticeable changes in breathing. So this is a light jog or a fast-paced walk around a pond. You can still have a conversation. Moderate is exercise that causes you to reach 55 to 69% of your maximum heart rate. And so this is like a moderate jog. You can still have a conversation, but you might have to take a break to get a breath in.
All right, so how to calculate your maximal heart rate. This is a really straightforward slide. It's just really an equation for you guys to use as a tool to help you calculate. You take 220 minus 35 if you're a 35-year-old adult. That gives you 185 beats per minute. That's the maximum heart rate for a 35-year-old adult. Now, if you want to find, what qualifies as high intensity, remember it's 70% of your maximal heart rate. So 70% of 185 is 130. So your high intensity range when you're working out is going to be from 130 beats per minute to 185 beats per minute. All right, quality of performance. All right, so there's different types of exercise. Everybody here probably is pretty familiar with the bicep curl. So when we take our elbow and bend the bicep and curl it up towards our shoulder, that is called a concentric motion or concentric portion of the exercise. So we're actually shortening the muscle fibers down. In comparison, eccentric is when we're lowering that weight back down and straightening our arm out. That is the eccentric phase of a bicep curl. Benefits in terms of eccentric. Eccentric, one, allows the muscle to be healthy in length. So it's really important to focus on that portion of the exercise, not to kind of rush through it and be choppy. But even most importantly, that's where you develop the most of your strength. From a standpoint, like in the office when we work on with our patients, I mean, this is one portion we really work on, being smooth with it, and that lengthening phase of the muscle, we know that's where the most gain is going to be. So we always focus that the eccentric portion is the best portion of that exercise. All right, so contracting versus inertia. Inertia, I mean, we're just referring to momentum. Everybody has probably seen somebody in the gym where they're just throwing weight around, they're flinging their arm. We want your muscle actually contracting. We don't want momentum moving the weight. Because when that happens, one, your muscle isn't contracting through the entire range of motion like it should. And it's really important to have that slow, controlled contraction, because that puts the ultimate stress on the muscle, causing it to develop to the best potential. Also, I mean, it allows for better coordination between the brain and the muscle itself. So the better coordinated the brain is with that muscle group, the less chance you're going to have for injury in the future. When the muscle is, weak in certain choppy portions of a movement range, that is where you create windows of opportunity for injury. So one, a smooth contraction is going to help you prevent injuries. The other thing we know with injuries, when you do injure yourself, little micro tears or tears with the curl because of poor technique, we're going to have a cortisol response to that injury. Cortisol, I mean, it helps us stabilize blood sugar, but understand we use cortisol as something that's anti-inflammatory in a response to injury. A lot of our patients we work with, I mean, this is something we have to understand because we don't want to stress this cortisol system any further. So again, another reason for having a smooth contraction and making sure we have good muscle stimulation, but we minimize the injury to the muscle.
So we're going to talk about the type of training. Each body part will be trained one time a week with a total of 3 workouts per week, and workouts are evenly spaced with a day of rest in between each. A lot of research coming out right now shows that 3 times a week of high intensity interval training is not only healthier but more effective than getting on a treadmill for an hour, getting on the elliptical for an hour 5 times a week. The workouts will be divided into push days, which include your chest, triceps, and shoulders. There will be pull days, which are back, buys, and abs. Leg days is your buttocks, quads, hamstrings, and calves. And there will be a total of 2 different exercises per body part.
All right, the initial exercise of a body part is going to begin with a warm-up. Again, we don't want injury, so we always have to make sure we prevent injury. So it's going to be 2 to 3 warm-up sets, and then it's going to be followed by 2 high-intensity sets to failure, which means you're just so fatigued you can't go anymore. That's what to failure means. The second exercise, the same group, will only require 1 to 2 warm-ups, because you already started your warm-up because you've already hit that muscle group a little bit, and you're going to follow through with 2 high-intensity sets to failure again. The third exercise of the same group will be similar to the second exercise with 2 high-intensity sets to failure. I mean, we can start as we get further and further into the exercise. You're not going to have to do so much warm-up sets because your whole body starts to get warm and the muscles start to have good movement through them. total of 6 sets to failure per body part is our goal here. A very important thing about our exercise here is going to be rest, rest, rest. I mean, we don't want to overdo it, but rest is very, very critical in this process. Sleeping and rest is what allows basically our ability to burn off the fat and activate the hormones that necessitate that process.
Push and pull days. Again, push is chest, shoulders, and triceps. Pull is back, biceps, and abdominals, and then our legs. Warming up is essential. Obviously, warming up is not stretching. Let's make that very clear. Warming up is doing active, what's called kinetic warm-ups, whereas stretching is just a static type of exercise where you're just trying to lengthen muscle. Here we're trying to get the muscle ready to be active and move, and not just trying to make the muscle longer.
All right, leg day. These will be basically more benefit in terms of the fat burning, just because legs, they're the big movers, the big calorie burners of our body. So I mean, just know that it's not, you don't want to skip leg day. You don't want to skip any of the exercises throughout the week, but leg day is a big one just because we hit a lot of calorie burnage when we involve the legs in high intensity training. And again, the legs includes the buttocks, the thighs, the hamstrings, the glutes. I mean, anything in the legs we're going to get you doing. A lot of side to side movement and movement against body weight. Again, remember, warming up is essential on all days. Like Dr. Nutt said, kinetic or dynamic, which means you're just moving around, not sitting still and stretching a muscle. There's a lot of research that shows, doing static stretching before a game or performing actually makes you more prone to injury. So we want you doing more a dynamic warm-up.
High intensity, performing at a maximum level for a short duration. On a scale of 1 to 10, performing at a 10, meaning you're out of breath, your heart rate is in that perfect zone of between 75 and 100% of your maximum heart rate, and performing to the point that no further repetitions are possible without help. Continue with partial repetitions, may continue last set with a drop set, and push beyond what was accomplished in the previous workout. The key here is to mentally make yourself nice and strong as well by believing that you can do one more rep.
All right, using a spotter. Now, there's going to be times where you're not going to have a spotter, but when you do, what you want to do is make sure you have a good spotter that watches you for fatigue. You want them to start to help you out when you start to get tired, because you want to still do the motion with the same smoothness. But what they're there to do is, if you can't do it on your own, they're just going to give you the minimalist, like the smallest amount of help possible to still allow you to accomplish the movement. They're going to also give you some encouragement as you're going through and doing it. But again, it's just you're trying to rep out and get as many of those reps in. Again, no more than 2 to 3 reps should be added when you're with a spotter. So if you do 8 reps in total in one set, you do 6 on your own. 2 are used with the spotter, up to a maximum of 3. So you can do 7, 8, and 9 are the spotter helping you with those reps. All right. Again, if you don't have a spotter, there's ways to kind of get around this. One is you can do partial reps. Okay, so partial reps is, you don't go through the full range of motion. You just do a half curl if you're doing a bicep curl, or you just do the top portion of the curl. You're still going to activate the muscle. You're still going to put a stress on the muscle. That's a positive thing for development. So you're not cheating yourself if you don't have that spotter. The second thing you can do is a drop set. So if you're using 40-pound dumbbells or 10-pound dumbbells and you're doing a certain exercise, as soon as you exhaust yourself with whatever weight you have, cut the weight in exactly about half or 50% and go from the 40-pound dumbbell to the 20-pound dumbbell and just go again till fatigue. That's basically what a drop set is. I use both of these techniques pretty often and pretty frequently at the gym. Dr. Nutt stopped working out with me, and that explains why he's kind of shrinking and getting tiny. But anyways, don't tell him we said this, but he's getting small. Anyways, these are things I use every day at the gym because you don't always have the luxury of having a trainer with you.
So drop sets and partials. Use this technique only on the second high intensity set of each exercise. Again, drop sets are not when Dr. Rayner drops weights on his face, but drop sets are when you drop the weight you're using and cut it in approximately half and rep out as many times as you can. For example, using the dumbbell press, first set of high intensity is 8 to 10 reps to failure on your own, and the second set will be high intensity, 8 to 10 reps to failure, and then using the drop set technique or partial, or using your spotter. Repetition ranges. So warm-ups are not to failure. So set 1 will be a low intensity for 5, 10, 15 reps. Set 2 will be moderate intensity, about 8 reps. And then set 3 will be a high intensity to failure on your own for 8 to 10 reps. Set 2 of high intensity will be as many reps as you can get out.
Yeah, and then just the one thing to clarify this slide, the number in the brackets, I'm pointing at the bracket, but you can't see me pointing. The number in the brackets is going to be the weight. So you're going to start off with a lesser weight in your set 1 for a warm-up with a 10 to 12 reps. And then you'll go up to 7 pounds or a higher weight for 8 reps as your moderate intensity. And then you're going to go to your happy weight, the most you can do, 8 to 10 comfortable reps with, okay, when you do the high intensity sets. All right, so let's go through some examples on different days for chest, shoulders, and whatnot. So dumbbell bench press. Dumbbells is going to be 2 separate weights. Again, this doesn't have to be the way you do it. These are just examples. You can do push-ups. You can do push-ups against a wall, push-ups off your knees, or just normal, regular push-ups. It doesn't matter. We just want the stress to the muscle that you can tolerate that will develop the muscle. So, example for chest day, dumbbell bench press, say 45 pounds each arm, that's your maximum. You're going to do a warm-up. Your warm-up is going to be 20 pounds for 10 reps, okay? For your second set will be 30 pounds for 6 reps. And your high intensity sets 3 and 4 are going to be the 40 pounds for 8 to 10 reps, and set 2, 40 pounds for 8 to 10 reps. And then you can drop set or have somebody help you out for getting just the most reppage at the very end of your workout. All right, so chest exercise number 2. So another one you could do to give you an idea, it could be dumbbell flies, where you're just basically your arms are kind of outstretched and you're coming in and bring them midline. Again, these are all different, but it's the same type of thing, just understanding the dynamic. You got your warm-up reps. Remember, the further you go into the workout in one muscle group, the less warm-up you have to do. So set 1 will be 15 pounds at 6 reps. Then you go straight to your high intensity because you've already done warm-up sets in the previous one. So the pecs and the chest are already getting warm. So as we go through, you don't have to dedicate the same amount of time to warm up. And then you can go to your high intensity, and that's closer to your maximum weight. Okay. Shoulders. So same thing with shoulders. What we've done is kind of gone through and just done different things. So straight up overhead press. A lot of this stuff in terms of the workout, the trainer, Kristen, she's going to be going through different ways to hit different muscle groups with you. This is just, we want to lay it out in a PowerPoint for you. So if this is something you wanted to use, you could go ahead and use it. But really the goal with the trainer is to kind of find the right exercises for everybody and the right fit for everybody at that time. So again, shoulders, because you haven't done that muscle group yet, so the very first shoulder exercise is going to be 2 sets of warm-ups followed by 2 sets of high intensity, with the last set of high intensity going to failure, where you use either drop sets, a spotter, or partial reps.
So shoulders continued. This is your second exercise after doing chest, and one exercise of shoulders. So lateral flies, we're going to assume you're using 20 pounds as your max. For a warm-up, there's no need to do a warm-up because we've already done shoulders, one exercise of shoulders, and two different exercises of chest. So you're going to start off with your first set being a high intensity. So we're going to use 15 pounds, 8 to 10 reps on your own, 10 level 10, meaning your intensity is as high as it gets. And then the second set will be 15 pounds, so same weight, but using the max amount of reps. So if you can go more than 10, that's great. Less than 10, as long as you're trying as hard as you can. And then progress into partials, drop sets, or utilizing your spotter.
All right, triceps. All right, everybody knows what these are. They oppose our bicep. From a postural standpoint, I mean, these are pretty good muscles. They help maintain posture, keep our shoulders opened up, and give us integrity to our shoulders. So, all right, first exercise with the triceps. So we're gonna do one warm-up set, and then we're gonna get right into our high-intensity sets. All right, so we say assume 20 pounds is what we're doing as your max. I mean, again, it's gonna be different for everybody, but we just want to kind of give you a rough kind of idea or an example for every region of the body. And again, after we're done our warm-up set, we're going into set 1 high intensity, set 2 high intensity, and that last set of the high intensity is going to be with the drop set, the partial, or the spotter, helping us get a few reps to failure. Again, close grip push downs. You can also do like a push-up type move with this. Again, it's the same thing. We don't need a warm-up on this one because we've already been warming up through chest, shoulders now triceps. You're just going to do 2 high-intensity sets of this exercise. Again, last set, drop set, and go to failure. All right, push day summary. Chest, shoulders, and triceps. Again, different amounts with each one. As we go through, chest has the most warm-ups because that's just getting the blood flowing to your whole upper torso. Shoulders, exercise 1, has 2 warm-ups, and that's it. And then it gets less and less as you go through, okay? This is what we're recommending when we get into this portion, but I mean, before you start doing this, we're going to all meet with a trainer to kind of go through some of these exercises and different things we can do for each body group. All right, total time to perform a workout like this, designed the way we have it, is really straightforward. It shouldn't take us a lot of time. 18 sets, 40 seconds on average, should be about 12 minutes. Not a lot. With 12 rest periods of about 45 seconds. As we get more efficient, it can be less. So we're looking at a total time to perform this, 27 minutes, okay? That's not too bad. It's really easy to do. And this, it gets the results we want because of the way we're targeting the muscle groups. All right, cardiovascular training. What the cool thing is when we're doing the high intensity, this is going to bring in cardiovascular training. So what we want you to do is get the mindset of running for an hour out of your head, that's the way to do cardiovascular training. Doing the high intensity, it's still going to target basically the cardiovascular aspect to exercise, but it's going to have way more benefits that go along with it. So when we look at that low intensity exercise where you don't really break a sweat, it has minimal effect on your body transformation in terms of burning fat. It will help improve some of your cholesterol profiles, but again, other exercise will do the same thing. And again, cholesterol is not a bad guy. High intensity, short duration. Again, this is really effective for burning fat, improving growth hormone. It's beneficial for cardiovascular fitness. It's not as effective initially on lipid profiles, but as we start to get the body composition better, you'll see at the end portion, as you've been doing this for a while, you'll start to see your cholesterol and your HDL levels get improved as well. And the other thing that's really important with this is really a good type of exercise, high intensity training for diabetics. It helps, one, increase something called insulin-like growth factor, which helps your body become less insulin resistant and you're better using. So high intensity cardio allows for prolonged periods of fat utilization, primarily for the period of time following the exercise and prior to the next intake of calories. So your exercise and your fat burning doesn't just stop when you do high intensity. It goes on until you start to consume calories next. So say you do your high intensity interval training at, say, 4 o'clock in the afternoon for 27 minutes, and then you go home and you eat dinner at 6. I mean, you leave the gym at 4:27, but from that time till 4:27 to 6 o'clock, you're still looking to your fat stores to burn that off because of the type of training you're doing. I mean, working out beyond 40 minutes, the research shows the first 40 minutes, it looks for fat as the primary source to burn. But what happens is around that 40-minute mark, the prolonged fasting, because you're not eating while you're working out, starts to look for glycogen stores in the muscles, and you start looking at your muscle tissue as, hey, I needed to use some of your fuel and energy, and you start to kind of do things that are more harmful to your muscle. So that's why that 40-minute mark and less is perfect, because you're going to resort to wanting to burn the fat, and that's what the goal of this is. All right, the interval cardio training. Okay, so what we've done so far is we've separated kind of weight training versus the high intensity cardio training, just for keeping it as simple as possible. And two, right now, I mean, we want to make sure it's something, the stress is adaptive and tolerable by your body at first. So again, it can be 4 minutes of interval training to start off, all the way up to 30 to 40 minutes, but we want to start off less is more at the beginning. So again, this is why we separate weight training versus the high intensity cardio training. But our goal is to try to get 10 minutes 3 times a week of the cardio training, following the resistant exercise, or you can also do it mixed in. I do mine with it kind of interchange. I'll do a rep of a chest workout, and then I'll go in and I'll do 30 seconds of intense squats followed by 30-second rest, and then I'll go back and do my next chest workout. Okay. If you want to do it just as a separate thing after your weights, as you're getting used to it, what you're going to do is you're going to follow 2 minutes of light to moderate exercise. Will be 1 minute intervals of high intensity training with 1 minute period of moderate training. So say you're on the stationary bike, you're going to do 2 minutes of just kind of something that's not really making you sweat, and then all of a sudden you're going to pump up the resistance to the point where it's tough. You're going to feel a burn in your legs, your heart rate's going to get up, and you're going to start to sweat quite quickly, and you're going to do that for a minute. Now, that doesn't have to be the case. I mean, you can do 15-second bursts if you do higher or more challenging resistance. Again, it's all geared towards that premise of getting your maximal heart rate to that 70% of your maximal heart rate, okay? And then when you're done that, you want to go back down to that moderate level where you're still working, but you're not pushing yourself at that maximum rate. All right, so here's an example again. We include this stair stepper here. I'll use a stationary bike. I like to play hockey, and I find the stationary bike is really good in terms of getting my legs the best prepared for when I play hockey. But what I usually start off with, again, I'll do 2 minutes to just kind of get my legs used to it on the bike. Here, again, we use stair stepper, and then it's just 1 minute high intensity. I'll use 30 seconds, but go to a higher level of resistance and go all out until literally my legs feel like they're going to fall off. And then we drop it down to a level I can tolerate for a minute, and then we go back up to that tough level, back down, back up, back down, back up, back down. All right, so why are we doing high intensity interval training? Why are we recommending that, and why does that get us results that a lot of times other people won't see when they exercise? I mean, we've kind of talked about some of them. Here's a summary of all the high intensity interval benefits. I already mentioned you do get growth hormone release. That's a really, really good thing. A lot of people, as we age, we always hear like, oh, I need hormone replacement. No, you don't. You need to stress your body in the right way to maintain your hormone production. As we age, you get more sedentary. So, no wonder we start to see stuff drop. So that's why, again, this type of exercise is a very, very beneficial and beautiful thing. You also get what's called an opioid response, one that helps you inhibit pain and shut off pain. You get serotonin release and you get dopamine release. So you feel good. You get like an exercise high. So that's the one thing you want to watch out for. After you're done doing your training, you should feel good. You should feel like you're kind of floating on the clouds for about 20 or 30 minutes afterwards, and that should carry on with you for quite a bit. We already talked about you increase something called insulin-like growth factor, which improves your cells' sensitivity to insulin, which means you can monitor your blood sugar much, much better. For a diabetic, this is a very, very, very huge thing, and it's really, really important for a lot of people too that have blood sugar instability issues, so they kind of crave sweets throughout the day. That's probably the majority of the U.S. population, Again, this is just another reason why this type of training is very, very important. Next point we have up there is immune enhancement. I mean, we know movement stimulates areas of the brain that helps promote and improve our immune system. But the biggest thing too, in addition to that, we're exercising in a way, because it's shorter duration, it doesn't stress our immune system and create too much inflammation for our body to handle. So from a standpoint of, we're already kind of not feeling the best and we're starting to find a workout routine, that's why high intensity training is a very good initial starting point, because it embraces the immune system and doesn't push the immune system hard. Other things that are beneficial with high intensity training is it releases something called nitric oxide synthase. It's something that helps us basically promote vascular and blood vessel growth. So, it helps us get blood flow to the brain, to the tips of our fingers, the tips of our toes, and stuff like that. So that's all stimulated when we do this type of training. And my favorite, we stress a lot of brain function in our office. When you do high intensity training, you increase something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And the cool thing is the research shows the amount of increase in brain-derived neurotrophic factor is directly proportional to the intensity of the exercise. And that means the harder you work out, the bigger the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor. From a standpoint of brain survival, this is one of the proteins that floats around in our brain environment, helping our neurons have signals to promote their survival. So as we age, we naturally see less and less of this. But from a standpoint of combating that as we age, we want as much of this stuff floating around our bloodstream as possible. So again, just another very vital reason why the high intensity training is very good for not only brain, immune system, blood sugar response, just overall feeling good, and also maintaining our hormone production. All right, so we're kind of getting close to wrapping up. This is kind of not an appendix, but just a figure kind of to add into the back of the thing, to our PowerPoint. It's just really a workout log. We have them. If you want them, let us know. We'll email them to you. We may just go ahead and email them to you after your session with us up at visiting Kristen at Well Health Fitness. But it's just to show you, the different, your chest exercise 1, chest exercise 2, shoulders 1, shoulder 2. And it also allows you on the right-hand side to kind of follow up what you did the week before. Because, we always want to be getting stronger and progressing. And this allows you to jot down what you did the week before so you can keep track. All right, health. This is just a definition I really like from the World Health Organization regarding health. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. From the standpoint of, a lot of people have a really misconception of what health is. A lot of people go day to day just feeling, not their best, not the best they could. But because they don't have a cancer or diabetes or some other chronic ailment bothering them, they think that they're healthy or they're okay. And this is a really important thing is, we can always feel better. And this is what our whole mission is to wake up the U.S. population and wake up everybody and educate you and educate the ones you care about, your friends, your family, so we can all become actually a better representation of this health definition. Because health isn't really just the absence of disease. It's really about feeling well and maximizing all basically facets of our well-being. All right, guys, thank you so much for sitting in, reading through this PowerPoint, or listening to us go through this PowerPoint with you. This is the first of a few PowerPoints that you're going to be going through and learning. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, some of the content, some of it was just examples. A lot of stuff in terms of what exercises to do for each body group, we're going to be going over with actually one-on-one session with Kristen from the Wellness Help Center. She's great. She's been at this for 7 years. She's going to be able to help us, find the exercises that work for each one of us. So come prepared. Again, if you have any questions going through from the PowerPoint today, just shoot us an email, give us a call. We'll answer them. We want to make sure there's nothing left unanswered. And again, I mentioned there's going to be a quiz. Again, it's not going to be anything, no Harvard entrance exam. It's just going to be a quiz just to make sure there's, the basic concepts we're taking home. And that's really it. I hope you guys have a great day. We appreciate you.